Alright, guys, so I apologize if the last live stream I did was, was stopped because, but here I am again. So, okay, so today is Lunar New Year, guys. That's right, it's February, so of course that's to happen, sometime this year, and it looks like it's finally came. So, in this live stream, I'll be discussing my thoughts on Lunar New Year as well as a few other things that I want to talk about. First, let's talk about, our main subject. So, what is Lunar New Year? Well, Lunar New Year marks the beginning of a new year according to the lunar calendar. It's quite different from the Western New Year, which is, of course, January 1st. But for this one, it is celebrated in many Asian countries like, Vietnam, South Korea, and of course, China. In fact, it is China's most important holiday of the year. Families get together, give out these red bags filled with money, and even go to the temples to bless themselves and wish themselves the best of luck. Like, it's a very awesome and amazing celebration for all the Asian people out there. And even in those Chinatown streets, they often have those, the lion and dragon dances that run down the streets. Yes, and if I'm being honest, they did kind of unsettle me a little bit because of the loud music they were playing, as well as, their, intense actions. But nowadays, I think, they're actually good as well. I think they're pretty interesting, I guess. So I may not be Chinese myself, but I still don't want to, leave out the celebration because I still give, lots of other celebrations a chance, including, Lunar New Year. So I want to support all the Asian people out there who are having a great time this year, this time in the year anyway, just, celebrating their lives during, just celebrating the Chinese New Year, which that's another term what this is called. So, as we all know, today is the year of the horse. And why is it called the year of the horse, you may ask me? Well, there's this thing called the Chinese zodiac, which is the 12-year cycle of animal signs and their attributes. Lots of people, depending on the years they were born, have different animal signs, and the horse is one of them. In fact, is the seventh in order of the animals. And it's known for its strength, courage, energy, and symbolizing freedom. And by the way, one of my friends on YouTube named Drew Thomas was actually born in the year of the horse, which is, 2002. And I give shout out to him, by the way. He's a really good friend, by the way. Now I'm talking about my thoughts on horses in general. So yeah, even though I prefer some animals like reptiles as well as pets like dogs and cats, but I still have respect for horses in general because they've been some of our companions for centuries. No wonder they're so loved by the human generations. Even myself, I like horses too. They can even be kept as pets, and we can even ride them as well. Heck, I have ridden a horse before in my life before. So yeah. Oh, and by the way, if any of you guys want to say something in the chat, just go ahead as long as it's nothing inappropriate. So yeah. You can ask questions in the chat or just, give compliments, stuff like that, because I'm perfectly okay with that. All right, so Now I'm going to be talking about a few other things I want to talk about. One of those things is regarding my one of my surprise videos, which is basically just to celebrate the 5 year anniversary of my remake series, which is my most popular series of videos on this channel by far. So, by the way, one of the footages I need for one of those kinds of videos is complete. There'll probably a few more of these coming this year for me to make a compilation of them. And they're not full remakes, but they're just, recreations of certain clips from certain Thomas episodes. Now, the footages that make up over 1 minute long took me like almost an hour for me to make, with all the shots and stuff of the engine characters as well as some of the action. In fact, that's the problem with some of my old Thomas remake videos. They took me like long amounts of time for me to make them. And that depends on how long the shots last, how intense the action is, and how long it takes me to make, the new models of the engines and characters, as well as the sets and locations. I mean, all projects take like long amounts of time, but Now I understand why lots of people on my channel liked the remake series, mainly because not because they're no, not just because their childhood has been reunited, but also because of like how accurate the engine characters look, as well as some of the action here and there. Like some of the remakes I did were just based on fan favorite Thomas episodes, like the Flying Kipper, Duncan Gets Spooked, which those two are actually my most popular remakes so far, and I guess I'm pretty proud of them, by the way. Heck, I even enjoyed the episodes themselves because they were very interesting and very action packed, and they're just memorable, by the way. The Flying Kipper is about, the story about Henry, the Green Engine, and how he got his new shape after an accident while he was pulling the Flying Kipper during, snowy weather. And Duncan Gets Spooked was about, Duncan not believing about ghosts after then he just made a joke about, Peter Salmon's funnel after the character spilled some trucks into the off the viaduct. I was meant to say, So basically, he just says they'll come to spook you and your special funnel. I thought it was pretty funny too. And I think the reason why this episode is so loved by fans is because of how scary it was. I mean, it's quite unusual for a Thomas episode to be that scary, but let me just tell you, Thomas isn't just about isn't just a kid show. It can be for adult audiences too, and that's why that during the classic series, they had these very spooky Thomas episodes, like Stephanie Gets Lost and Haunted Henry. These episodes were pretty good, in my opinion. All right, so I'm just gonna pull up one of my no, no, actually, I'm gonna pull up one of the episodes I might actually remake one of the clips of, because I think that'll be pretty interesting. Alright, so I'm actually watching this classic Thomas episode called Thomas Comes to Breakfast. And by the way, it's one of it's one of the Audrey's favorite stories. He tries to leave the shed in the morning without the controller, and now he can't stop himself. And you know what happens next. You know what happens next, by the way. I mean, yes, both Ringo Starr and George Carlin do a great job narrating this video. This episode, I mean. These Thomas narrators are definitely legends. I could say that. Yeah, it's like
make them jump. Thomas thought he was being clever. Really, he was only moving because a careless cleaner had meddled.
Oh no, not Thomas again. See, this is why you shouldn't leave an engine running without their driver. Because you'll end up like, Thomas when he crashed into the station master's house. Called it.
To have breakfast. Horrors! Cried Thomas and shut his eyes. The house rocked.
Man, I felt bad for Thomas about what happened to him. I'm glad he got repaired like after the events of this episode. Alright. Sorry about that, guys. I actually forgot to mention about, the history of the Lunar New Year celebration, which I've got an article up right now so I can read it to you guys. If you guys are watching this, that is. So there's this legend that was going around. So there's this beast called Nien, which is believed to feast on human flesh on New Year's Day. But then they found out that Nien feared the color red, loud noises, and fire, as well as red paper. So yeah, that's why they decorated their houses with red. They brought the lanterns in. They were burned all night, and then those firecrackers were lit up to frighten the beast away. And that's why it's like, and that's how it came to be, by the way. So yeah, I'm literally reading about the Chinese zodiac on my computer right now. So yeah, so So in case you didn't hear me before, it's an annual classification system in Chinese culture, according to according to Britannica. Sorry about that, guys. It follows the lunar calendar, in which each year in a 12-year cycle is assigned to a different animal, and each of them is assigned with a different personality that that classifies the year and those born during that year. So let me just tell about actually I don't know if I have time to talk about the entire story of the zodiac, but still. All right, so I'm going to tell you. All right, so, I'm going to tell the story about the zodiac right now, guys. So yeah, I'm going to be mentioning a bunch of I'm going to be mentioning some of the wasn't it what happened. So according to the legend, the Jade Emperor selected 12 animals to be his guardians, and then according to the article I'm reading right now, he said he held a race between these animals, and then they would cross the finish line, and they would earn a place in the calendar in the order they completed the race. So yeah, of course the mouse had to come first because according to the legend, it jumped on the cow's nose, I think, or the head. I'm not too sure, and then it jumped off the cow at the last second to win the race. And after these two came the tiger, rabbit, and dragon. So the interesting thing is that the dragon could fly and win the race easily, but the dragon had to go to the east to make more rain. So it came fifth place, followed by the snake, the horse, and the sheep. The monkey and dog came next. Actually, they walked. No, actually, they worked with the sheep to cross a log to cross the river. The dog finished 11th, and the pig came 12th place after stopping to eat and rest along the way. And that's why the Chinese zodiac is, and that's why the zodiac order is how it is today. There's even a cat in this story, by the way, but the thing is, the cat was asking the rat to wake it up on the morning of the race. And then the rat, no, or the mouse forgot. The cat just, found out that, all the animals have already completed the race, and the cat did not become, a zodiac animal. And there was another version of the story where, the cat and the mouse were both on the ox's back while crossing the river, but then the mouse pushed the cat overboard, sinking its chances of inclusion on the list. And legend says that this is why cats hate mice and rats, and to try and chase and kill them. I mean, there are many other legends of the Chinese zodiac, but the race one is probably the most well known of them all. And that's basically all you're going to know about. All right, so I'm gonna be continuing watching one of those, some other Thomas episodes to see if I can get a good idea of what to remake next. Although you can actually, for those viewers who are watch my remake episodes, you can comment in the chat or maybe in one of my videos about which episode clip to remake next. I mean, yeah, yes, requests are open for this moment, and then they'll be closed if I get enough comments. By the way, so yeah. So yeah.
Wanted to rest, but Percy was talking to some engine. He was telling them about the time he had braved bad weather to help Thomas. It was raining hard. Water swirled under my boiler. I couldn't see where I was going, but I struggled on. Oh, Percy, you are brave. Well, it wasn't anything really. Water's nothing to an engine with determination.
Bringo, you do a great narration for this episode. All right, so if I run out of things to talk about in this live stream, then I might just end it off early. Again, sorry for the long pause in the video because sometimes I like to give my voice a break while I'm after talking sometimes. So yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention about this. Okay, so in some countries they usually have different animal replacements for the zodiac. Like instead of instead of a pig, the Thailand Lunar New Year zodiac has an elephant instead, and in Vietnam the rabbit is replaced by a cat. So pretty interesting. Yeah, that's another thing I forgot to mention before. But I'm glad I did just like a few minutes ago or a minute or so, like whatever amount of time it took me. All right, so before I end this live stream, I just want to talk about my experience just today. So I did teach some of my friends about the Chinese zodiac because me and my family went to someone's, we went to a friend's house for who was Chinese, and I'm not going to explain who they were because it's a personal story, and I'm not going to go into detail. So yeah, but we had dinner over there. They served all kinds of delicious food, but although I didn't really eat most of it, stuff like that. And yeah, so as we all know, this celebration is about families getting together and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that's pretty much it to say about this because I don't think I have anything else to explain about what happened today. All right. I will do a few more like updates in some live streams. So yeah, but we'll have to wait and see about that because this is still the beginning of the year, or in the lunar calendar's case, still the beginning of the horse year. So yeah. And also keep an eye out for a surprise video coming out like and I mean the surprise Thomas video, which I'm going to be releasing either tomorrow or like maybe a few days time. Trust me, I'm not telling you what it is just yet, and you guys might be surprised when I release it. Don't worry, guys, it's not all engines go related or anything to do with you know, it's gonna be something classic Thomas related. I assure you. So yeah. So be on the lookout for some of my new videos coming out this year. And with that being said, I'm pretty much going to wrap up this live stream. So make sure you have a safe and happy Lunar New Year, guys. So this is ZST54 Studios signing off and saying happy Lunar New Year to all of you. If you're from Asia, that is. All right, I'm just gonna end it right now. So yeah, see you in the next live stream, guys.